Growth is one of our core values: purpose, dedication, growth, and then something we call otherishness, which is about thinking of others, putting others first,
Oh,
achieving success through the victories of others and things like that. But growth is also one of our core values. And we talk about growth as not just getting bigger, but getting better, right? And we
yeah.
talk about personal and professional growth for staff. And we're really big on a growth mindset and knowing that no matter how we're doing, we can do better. And that's good work.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Tom Anderson. Tom is the CEO and superintendent at Great Valley Academy District in Modesto, California. Tom, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Janet. I appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit, Tom, about your role, and let's talk about a little bit about the amazing things that are happening at Great Valley.
Sure. So this is the coming up on the end of my fourth year as superintendent and CEO at Great Valley Academy's charter school. We're a small charter network, as you said, in Modesto and Stanislaus County. Very interesting. We were founded by an optometrist.
Really?
Yeah, he was doing
Wow.
his therapy in his practice, and he somehow knew, and I don't remember his name, but the founder of an academy in Michigan, uh,
Oh, mhm.
Grand Valley maybe, or something similar. I
Yep,
can't
there's a
remember,
Grand
but they were
Valley.
doing
Yep.
an IVL, integrated visual learning. And this county superintendent here told Dr. Rosenau, our founder, hey, the only way for you to get this out and get it to people and get kids the kind of therapy of developmental educational skills they need is to start a school. And Dr. Rosenau said, you can just start a school. And so they went through the chartering process and all the obstacles and all of those things. And about 17 years ago, Great Valley Academy was founded. And about 5 years after that, they opened another site. We also have a big homeschool program that we do, which is kind of a hybrid learning model. But we're focused on developmental education and relationship first education. And we have a really, we have a big social emotional crew. Even before COVID, we had started adding, but obviously post COVID, the need just
Yeah.
accelerated. And so we have a really good social emotional team of clinicians and school psychologists, and it's a focus for us. We really believe that academic success is more of a byproduct of relationship-centered, character-based education, and so that's who Great
Right.
Valley Academies is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important. And, it is something that you're ahead of the game because you already had that, which is fantastic. So good for you guys.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great when we hear a new focus on relationships or on social emotional learning or interventions or supports, because we're like, yeah, we're doing that. We're doing that.
Right.
We'll get better,
Yeah.
right? It's that cycle of continuous learning and improvement, so we can always improve. But we recognized a need early, and it's kind of a passion of mine. And obviously, I've only been here 4 years, so we've done a lot of work. They started all the good work before I got here. But they were founded by an optometrist, and their CEO was a nonprofit leader, not an educator. So after about 12, 13 years, they decided we see us taking the next step as an organization, and now we need that educational leadership. We need somebody who knows districts and knows county offices and knows systems. And I've spent 30 years doing all of that. I spent 27 years in traditional ed before I jumped into the charter waters.
Awesome. I was going to ask you that. How did you get to where you are? And thank you for answering that. You preempted me. Very good. So what grade do you start? Are you pre-K or are you
Yeah,
K? And how
we are
high
a
up do you go?
TK8 school, but we
TK.
added TK not this year, but last year. We were K,
Mm-hmm.
and so TK is fun. It's a lot of work,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it has transformed the organization. It's a really nice continuum to see kids from 4 years old and to try and get them ready to go into high school as young adult learners.
Mhm. And I think it's been since the pandemic too, I think it's been really helpful. I think schools have seen that adding that piece and getting these little guys ready for school is really, and I've heard from educators as well, early, even from the early days of the podcast. Now we're only not quite 10 months old, but just the second graders and third graders that just weren't ready, and all the emotional issues, and that's why you have what you have.
Right.
But it's so important for them, and when you take them out and don't give them that opportunity. My daughter she has a corgi, and we got her on February 14th, on Valentine's Day 2020, and she is a COVID dog. Literally, they tend to be like clingy anyway. This dog is extra clingy. Chloe is a clingy dog, but I mean, and it's a product of the situation and what we had to deal with. So what does your program look like, and what kinds of things would you say have been key to being successful in that program?
Sure. Well, going back to the TK discussion, we're still in the process of building that out, and we realized we wanted to do it the right way, and we wanted it to really be development based. So it's play based. We have a terrific childhood education specialist who was one of our best primary teachers, transitioned into that role. She's really built the program well. We've overstaffed our speech therapist, which sounds crazy because you can't find them, but we were lucky
Right.
find speech therapists. And so we've overstaffed a little bit so that we can have additional whole class and small group communication. We call it a communication lab for our kids that need some of that. We really focus on developmental skills before we get into academics, and the academics flow. And then we also have this kind of, as I was talking about, a proprietary, it's not vision therapy. It's a vision focused, academic support program. It's an RTI model, a multi-tiered systems of support model, but a key component of it is doing early assessments to determine whether kids have the prerequisite skills they need to learn the academic piece. And so we have this kind of whole class universal level of developmental support and visual learning that happens. And then as we identify students that have extra needs, we do an intervention-based program focused on getting them those prerequisite skills so that they can accelerate their academic progress.
So tell me a little bit, Tom, about your social emotional learning and your response to intervention slash multi-tiered system of support program. And, what does that look like?
Sure. So we are a conscious discipline school. So that's kind of our universal SEL model. All of our staff is trained. We had conscious discipline come out on a 3-year plan to train staff and implement conscious discipline policies, which is really about regulation and co-regulation and getting students into their brain state. So that is our baseline, our universal model. From there, we have a really strong SEL team. We have on each site, we have a social emotional learning facilitator, a self,
Okay.
and they do whole class lessons. They do small groups targeted to specific concerns like social skills or anger management, things like that, but at a kind of a tier 1, tier 2 level. Then we have some associate mental health clinicians, 1 or more per site. They do more individualized counseling. And those students are identified through our student support process, like an SST model. And then we also have some clinicians that are ERMS focused, education-related mental health services. So they do specifically special ed mental health services for our students on IEPs, and where the program is designed for them to support their access to the general ed curriculum. And we have a terrific coordinator. She's a former parent of a Great Valley Academy student. When I first came, we were farming out our mental health services. I had her come on to consult for the first year, and then I hired her right away. She's got experience in schools and in private therapy. She had the background that I appreciate in a leader of mental health services, and so she's our coordinator of school-based mental health services. Her name's Megan Kubicek. She's terrific. She's designed this program, and I can say that I was at least there when she did it.
Nice. You help facilitate. You
Yeah,
did. You help facilitate. We need leaders. We absolutely need leaders. There are people that are really good at the day-to-day stuff, and then there are the visionaries. And, you got to have both. You really have
that's
to have
right.
both.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then you were telling me a little bit, we did have a little bit of, just so that those of you that are listening, we had some issues, my technical issues. So, but you were talking also about, and I want to make sure we circle back to that because I'm an SLP and you said
Yeah.
you guys overhired SLPs. That's unheard of. It's hard to find them. So tell me a little bit about that because I immediately went, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
No, that's definitely a head turner because as everyone else, we struggled to find speech therapists over the years. We had one GVA employee, a speech therapist that's been here a few years. We got her right out of school. She's grown with us and been terrific. At our other site, we had a contracted therapist who was great, but contracted. And my desire is generally to bring things in-house if possible and have our own people
Absolutely.
do it if we can.
If you can,
So
yeah.
after a couple of years, we were able to hire someone from a local district who wanted to bring their child to GVA. And so we have a lot of parents that work for us. They want their kids here. They love the school. They love what we're about and they want to work for us. So we were able to bring her in. And then our original speech therapist went out on maternity leave. We were lucky enough to backfill her to start the year. We found someone again straight out of school, but very good, whose mother is a teacher at GVA. So it's very family oriented here.
Nice. Yeah.
And so we brought her on board. When our original speech therapist came back, we kept the new therapist and we focused her on some RTI-like work, especially at the TKK level, so that we have what we call a communication lab, and we're working with all of our students at an early age, not only on pragmatics and things, but also on social skills.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And early executive function, right? Getting them ready to learn.
very much
Absolutely.
so.
Yeah. Very cool. That's very
Yeah,
cool. I love that. I love that for your team. I love that for your school because all of these pieces get your children ready to learn and get them to a place where they can learn. Cause there's so many things that these kids come into, even at a charter school, even at a private school, even it doesn't matter, what the stuff that happens in life, it doesn't happen based on your zip code, right? And it certainly doesn't happen based on the amount of money in your account. It's really, so I love that you're doing those things that help, and you end up with a population of students that are ready to learn. And so, what are you seeing? What are the fruits of this? Give us a little bit of what you've seen from that.
sure. So we were excited to bring TK on board because we thought earlier intervention, train them up earlier, get them to be GVA students and really understand our program, and then just accelerate that learning, right? We're also a mastery learning school. So we're also focused on ensuring students can take things as far as they can, knowing that everybody has different potential and capacities and abilities. And so we try to be very student focused and challenge them to do the best that they can. They have a GVA pledge that they do here that talks about being the best that they can because it's the right thing to do. And so we really focus on character and developmental skills. And then once you are ready, some self-directed learning and not only self-directed learning, but personal choice around extension or acceleration, which is really hard, right? It's really hard to create a system where you have students that can take off other students that need support and students that are like, I'm good right where I'm at. I'm doing the best that I can and it's pretty good. And so we really try to allow for systems that provide a space for students to be successful at their individual levels.
Occupational therapy shouldn't be one more thing on your plate. It should be a solution. Lighthouse Therapy offers school-based occupational therapy services that actually work for you and your staff. Our OTs have an average of 16 years of experience in schools, and they support everything from handwriting to fine motor to sensory integration. And you can choose from 3 different service models, whether it be virtual, hybrid, or in person. It's OT that fits your workflow without the chaos. Visit lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together to learn more. Right. Wow. Yeah, it's not just teach to the middle anymore, is it? Yeah, that's incredible. It's freeing for those kids, and it's exciting because you find that area, you find that thing that they love, and they can chase it. Yeah.
And it's
Good.
great to see them chasing those things. And it's great to see our staff feel the, like you said, the fruits of those labors and see kids succeed. We have very high, it's anecdotal, but we have very high success rates for our kids in high school. They attend all of the local high schools because
Mhm.
we stop at eighth grade for now.
Yeah.
They attend the local high schools, and the feedback we get is that they're very successful. And of course, you're always concerned about students being sheltered at a small school. But we're not a small school. Our schools are pretty big. They're nearly 1,000 students, so they get a pretty good cross section of other students. We have a relatively diverse population, and so they're prepared pretty well for high school. Um, and they may be going to, there's a 3,000 kid high school close to us, and a lot of kids go there, and there's worries that they're going to be little fish in the big pond, but they seem to be swimming pretty well, so we're happy about
I was looking a little bit at your sign, be a goldfish. Yeah, I love that. I
it.
love
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
we do.
it's a little bit off, but I got it. I got
Yeah,
it.
we had Ted Lasso as a theme a couple of years ago. We do a theme every year, mostly for staff. And based on our mission or our vision or something, we tie it to a theme. And so a couple of years ago, our theme was believe. And it was about believing in the organization and believing in our mission. And so we take it all the way. We Ted Lasso things up. We do our opening ceremonies at the beginning of the year with a bunch of lasso based things. There's lasso leadership stuff. So every year we get into that. This year, actually, our theme is Legos, and it's about building
Fun.
commitments.
Yeah.
So we
So
try to do,
I'm
yeah,
going to read the sign only because this is audio and video. Some of
sure.
it's video, some of it's audio. So the sign that we have been referring to, for those of you that are going, come on, what are you talking about? I'm going to read it for you. It says, do you know what the happiest animal on earth is? It's a question. It's a goldfish. It's got a 10-second memory. Be a goldfish. I love that. I love that because you just don't get stuck. And because you
Yeah.
can get your mind, and that goes back to the social emotional that we've been talking about, which is so cool. It all just kind of fits together, right? So you've got to let go of the things, and here's me getting on my soapbox, but those things that are preventing you from being successful in your life or preventing your schools from being successful, if they get on a loop, that is an ugly loop that you have got to get off of. You got to stop letting the things that are holding you down keep you down. You have to continue, and that's why you're successful. That's why, because you're looking at what's happening, and I'm you know this already, Tom, but you guys are winning because of what you're doing, and that's a beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
I know I got us off a little bit, but
No,
I'm
that's
trying to bring us
good.
back.
That's good. I
Yeah.
always say if the goal is, I heard this quote somewhere and I'm butchering it, but something about if the goal is growth, then every experience that we have, good or bad, means we're winning.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I do too. And it's like it's one of those things where it's like you just take whatever it is that you have been handed and you keep making it better. You keep stepping into it. And that's why when you recognize a child that loves Legos, for example, I'm sure you've got lots of kids that are loving this theme, right? I have a son who to this day is 26 years old. He still loves Legos. His mind works that way and he
Yeah.
puts things together that way. A builder. I'm not a builder. I'm the visionary. I always have been. I'm
Yeah.
not the one who's putting the bricks together. But just knowing that they can continue, and when you're successful, the schools see it, the parents see it, and then that's people see success in there and they're attracted to it. They really are. So you don't grow just because you have this much money in the bank or this many people on your staff or whatever. You grow because you continue to support and promote positive things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Growth is one of our core values. That's That's over on this side of the wall. Growth is one of our core values: purpose, dedication, growth, and then something we call otherishness, which is about thinking of others, putting others first,
Oh,
achieving success through the victories of others and things like that. But growth is also one of our core values. And we talk about growth as not just getting bigger, but getting better, right? And we
yeah.
talk about personal and professional growth for staff, and we're really big on a growth mindset and knowing that no matter how we're doing, we can do better. And that's good work.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Our values at Lighthouse are honesty, guidance, faith, growth, and respect. So it's so yeah, we get it. You get it. We get it. Yeah, faith is. I've told you before. I told you before we started, and I always tell people I'm a Christian. I never hide it. I never hide who we are. God called me to start this company, but having that faith as our center core value, you still have to have that honesty. You still have to guide people. You still have to respect those that come in front of you. And the only way that you're going to continue to move forward is by growing. And the only way you grow is you keep stepping into what you're doing. So, I mean, it's funny because I started, we're almost 8 years old now. We'll be 8 in July. And those values were me and my daughter and my son starting in this one little room in or just north of Jackson, Michigan. And I'm at a desk and I'm like, what are my values? Lord, what do you want my values to be? Because they were already mine to begin with, but to put them on paper and to have them consistently and to have you talk about growth, I love that so much because it just is. It's just such a huge part of what you have to be when you're in a school because you're growing humans, right? Yeah. So,
Yeah, and we went through a number of educational partner groups to kind of vet these core values a few years ago to reestablish what those core values were. And so, we had a leadership group and we have committees. We have a shared leadership model. So we do things through a committee system as well as what I call an extended executive team, which are all the leaders in the organization. And so, we did a brainstorm. We took it to our extended executive team. They added some information. We developed a tool to get feedback from our educational partners, and our three big educational partners are students, staff, and parents, right?
yeah.
And so we had this list of like 25, 27 values that everybody thought were important. They got multiple hits, right? So we
Right.
started trying to organize those into, okay, these 3 or 4 things are all similar to this. And so our goal was, you can't have 14 core values, right? Even 4 is pushing it, but we
Right.
felt really strongly about those. And so we took everything that came back to us in terms of feedback and we funneled it into these 4 core values, which are representative of all of our stakeholder feedback. And it's been pretty easy to stick with these because they're pretty
Yeah.
non-negotiable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're dedicated to
Absolutely.
this organization. You have purpose in what you do, and we talk about that. You're always willing to grow, and we think of others first. If you're not on board with those, you're not necessarily right for this organization.
Right. Yeah. And and I think that there are so many people out there that would just be like, yep, yep, nod my head. Yep. Get it. Yep. But it's important that you have that. And I always tell people, it's like you can have a mission statement, you can have a vision statement, you can have values, but if they're in a book somewhere on a shelf and that's where they live, instead of like you have them on your wall, he has these on his wall, people, for those of you that are listening. They matter. I have them on my wall. My goals are on my wall. My goals, I always tell people goals aren't goals if you don't write them down. And a vision and a mission statement is not a mission statement if you don't live it. So having said that, knowing that you've got those, I love that for your kids. I just, it's like it's one of those things where it's like I love that you guys are doing because it's so lined up with all of the things that I see as a human being are so important for our next generation because that's what we're doing, right? Next generation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, our mission says that we're creating safe, loved learning environments for kids, and so safe, loved learning is kind of our mantra. To the extent when you talk about living it, um, we write an LCAP here in California every year, a local control and accountability plan, which basically tells everyone where your money is going to, what programs and what things you think are important. But the LCAP is a really bulky, complex document. It's not real accessible. So we've turned the LCAP into what we call the next three, and it's a next 3-year plan. We have to do it
Okay.
every 3 years. So each year when we develop our new next three, it's a 3-year plan, and each year is safe, loved, and learning. Those were the first 3 years of our plan. And now, and all the programs that keep people safe and make them feel safe and loved, and the things we do with learning. So it's easy for us to live it because it is the organizational structure that we have, and all our goals are based and funnel through there. And it can be pretty daunting in this day and age. There's so many behaviors, and there's so many things going on everywhere that people talk, I don't feel safe, or I don't feel loved. And so we know we can do better. We know
Yeah.
there are people out there that don't feel the connection. And so we make very intentional efforts to do that. And it usually works, but not all the time. And
Yeah.
so
Well,
there's always work for us to do.
yeah, there's always we're humans. We are human beings. We are not infallible. We know that. But as long as you're moving forward and you're stepping into it and you're doing what you need to do, the kids win. That's the
That's
bottom
right.
line. The kids win. So Tom, tell us where people you've given us so much great information. I know there's people that are listening that are going to want to go, "Oh, where do I find your school? How do I find more information about?" And I'm assuming they can get to you from that place as well.
Yeah. So our website is www.greatvalleyacademy.com. But this year we've actually created a companion site. It's called www.thegvaway.com. And that is all the material around our mission, our vision, our core values, our core beliefs, the 5 pillars we have at GVA, which include things like having a dedicated staff and mastery learning and those things. All of that information about who GVA really is on the gvaway.com website. But it's a work in progress. We are going through, we're reestablishing our 10 core beliefs with our students and our staff this year. So every time we roll that out each month, we do classroom activities, we do some feedback, some surveys to see what kids have grasped and what staff has grasped. And we send it to parents. And once we feel everybody's gotten it, it goes on the website because we're committed to this. So if you go there, not everything will be there yet, but it gets rolled out every month or so. But our base website is greatvalleyacademy.com, and that's got all the essential information, and you can get to us at either site if you want information. And
Nice.
it's enrollment season.
And it's enrollment season. So
Right.
if you're in Modesto area, where's the other one? Where's the other
It's also in Modesto. There's a small
okay.
town called Salida. But
Okay.
as a charter, we take people from everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. You don't
Yeah.
have to be that
Well, and you
local.
said you have basically a home-based program as well, right?
Yes, we have a homeschool program that runs through our Modesto site. So we have some students that do kind of a hybrid program as well.
Right. Yeah.
Lots of
Yeah.
options.
Yeah, that's a great thing. And I think that's something that, and please don't hear that I am saying anything bad about public schools or anything, because I'm not. There's so many amazing, but it's lovely to have the options when you're a parent looking for for your specific child to have whatever it is that they need, and to have those options and be able to find schools like yours that are doing amazing things as well. It's a great thing. So I want kids to learn, I want them to be able to become, because we are raising up the next generation. And if we do nothing else with our lives, we've done that. That's the best thing. I want the world to be a better place for our children and our grandchildren. I don't have any yet, but I want some someday. So.
100%. Yeah.
So thank you, Tom, for being on Brighter Together. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Like the show says, we're brighter together, and it's very clear that you guys are doing amazing things. So thank you.
Thanks, Janet. I love the work that you're doing, highlighting best practices and passionate people, and they're all focused on students. So I'm happy to be a part of that. Thanks for including me.
Absolutely.